You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
This is the Daniel Monday Night Community Show on demand through YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing to listen to us through this method. If you'd like to keep up to date with when I add new interviews, then subscribe to this channel. So we're now going to be talking to Jaye now, and she's the festival director of Rochester Literature Festival. Jaye, it's good to speak to you again.
And you too, Daniel. Thanks for having me back.
Well, I was hoping first you could perhaps give our listeners a little bit of an introduction for us about yourself.
For me personally, I'm a writer, and I've been writing about Medway for a few years. I was a community publisher on a local website, and that's how I got involved in the local creative scene, sort of going around, sort of, looking at the events there that were going on, speaking to the people involved. So it was a joy to write about, and it was a good couple of years, and then that ended. But I was lucky enough to carry on being able to work in the same kind of area. But I'm a freelance writer, so I write for other people and businesses as well, copywriting, and I do sort of social media and things like that as well. But then I think it was 2011, I just felt the need that for there to be some regular literature-based events. There's lots of festivals, as you know, throughout Medway, but none of them purely writing-based. So I spoke to Roy Smith, Foods of Ripon, I spoke to initially, and then Emma Dewhurst and Philip Kane, and then finally we got together and started to organise.
So what is your role within the festival?
I do pretty much just the day-to-day running. I don't sort of perform myself or do any readings myself in the festival, but I do all the day-to-day stuff. It's surprising how many emails we get, and publicity materials and all that kind of thing. Fundraising, I'm looking to get more into. I've not really had time to crack on with that. And just the organising of the actual event. As I say, we're lucky enough to get quite a lot of emails from people who want to come and perform at the festival, and some of our headliners this year did just that. They've just contacted us out of the blue. And we thought, it sort of made the festival a lot bigger than it was going to be, because I hadn't anticipated doing a full 10-day festival again. But it's worked out into a really nice programme, with the theme that we came up with. The people that contacted me really fit into that well. So it's worked out for the best.
Well, I was hoping you could tell us more about the Rochester Literature Festival and exactly what it is.
Yep, it's a series of events across from the 25th of September to the 5th of October. And we're beginning with an evening with Sunny Ormond, and Sunny plays the outrageous Lillian Bellamy from BBC Radio 4's The Archers, which is now the longest running soap in the world. I believe it's over 60 years now that's been running. And Sunny sort of got in contact with us and said she'd love to come along to Medway and bring her show. So we said, that'd be brilliant. And we found the venue at Lordswood, and we're using it for 3 different events actually, Lordswood Sports and Social Club. It's a terrific venue. It's got full disabled access. It's all well seated. It's full refreshments, hot and cold. It's a really, really lovely venue. So we've got Sunny coming in there on Thursday the 25th of September. So we're really looking forward to that one. And on the Saturday the 27th, we've got a cafe crawl, and that's 4 cafes in Rochester High Street: Tiny Tim's, La Toretta, Dot Cafe, or Cafe 172 as it's called now, and Bruno's Bakes, and they'll be hosting some poets or musicians, just very, very casual, very informal. Every hour there'll be sort of 10-20 minutes of performances in each cafe, so that people can sort of mooch around throughout the afternoon. That's running from sort of 1 till 5, 1 till 5 that's running to. So that's going to be a nice sort of gentle introduction really for anybody who maybe doesn't get to hear poetry or music that often, who might just be around and about in the high street that day in the cafes. They'll be treated to some nice sort of poetry and music. And then we've got on Sunday, bookmarked, is a sort of a book fair event, and we've got authors and publishers who will be bringing their books along and having their authors read from them, and also they'll be for sale. And we're also doing a book swap, so anyone who's got some old books that they'd like to perhaps donate, and they can bring them along to the book fair and swap them for new books, or not brand new books, but other books that people have brought along to swap. And that's, again, very informal, just coming along, and that's in the Guildhall Museum in Rochester High Street as well, and that's between 12 noon and 4 o'clock on Sunday, the 28th.
Right.
Yeah, we've got also on the same day, we've got a children's event over in Gillingham at Woodlands Academy with Marcus Alexander, who writes the Keeper of the Realm series. He's really exuberant, really good fun. He was at a local school quite recently, actually, and the kids are all really engaged with them. He does all sorts of this kind of extreme sports and kind of injects that enthusiasm and excitement into his stories. So for any children that are fans of Lemony Snicket and things like that, Harry Potter, that kind of themes, that Marcus is the author for children who like all that sort of fantasy and adventure stuff. And he'll be along with us on Sunday the 28th, starting at 2 o'clock. That's pretty much, that's the daytime events. And then we've got on Saturday evening, the 27th, we've got Trenton Oldfield. And he's the notorious Australian who jumped in the river during the 2012 boat race, and ended up serving 6 months in prison for disrupting the race. And that was in a protest against elitism. And they also nearly deported him as well, but he fought that and won. So he's still with us, and we're pleased to welcome him at Sunpier House on Saturday the 27th at 7 o'clock. And he'll be going through, he's written prison diaries, and he's also kind of themed it to come up with, the mad, bad and dangerous of Britain's prisons in the 21st century. So he's really joining in with the theme that we've got there. And apparently it's a really good read, according to one review, and it really sort of brings the characters to life, and it's not kind of as kind of hard and gritty as you might think. There's a lot of warmth and humour in it as well, so we're really looking forward to that one. During the week, midweek, we've got 2 lovely authors coming along for the more traditional author talks. We've got Angela Buckley, who's written about a true detective called Jerome Caminada, whose methodologies mimicked Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes. So that's been called The Real Sherlock Holmes. And again, it's all the characters that he met and the way he sort of deduced the answers to the clues that were set before him. And so Angela's going to give us a presentation on Jerome's career and on the book that she's written about him. Whereas that's on the Monday night at the Dot Cafe, 29th of September. Then on Wednesday the 1st at Cafe Nucleus, we've got Debs Hobbs-Wyatt coming along with a fascinating story, a fictional story, but set in set against the backdrop of the real life events of the assassination of John F. Kennedy. And also there was a young girl abducted that day from the grassy knoll, the infamous grassy knoll. So there's this whole fiction book that's been woven around that, and that's kind of a real catch your breath read. It's a very exciting read. And Debs is going to be coming along and sort of discussing the impact of reality on fiction, and referencing the Kennedy assassination as she's done in her book, which is called While No One Was Watching. On Thursday, the 2nd of October, the brilliant ME4 writers who we've worked with a lot now across various events, they've put together an exhibition where they've got writers to channel Byron, and then looking at the writing, the artists involved are bringing the writing to life, and vice versa. The animals and the artists all work together. So it's an exhibition that's running throughout the month from the 26th of September. But on Thursday, the 2nd of October, we've got a live reading of the written work that was produced to go alongside that. So very much looking forward to that. That's in Rochester Library on Thursday the 2nd at 7:30. So that's our first sort of first weekend and midweek, and then moving on to weekend 2, our sort of finale weekend. It's quite a hectic one. There's lots of different things there going on. We've got comedian Phil Kay on Friday night at the Billabong Club, Friday the 3rd for an 8 o'clock start. He's a master of freeform performance and storytelling, and we've also got some local comedians who are going to kind of warm up for us as well on that. So it's a huge performance going on in the Billabong Club. And I mean, Phil is just brilliant. He's got such a good reputation. I know he did Kent 2020 quite recently, and the feedback there was he's very, very funny, and I know he's got quite a good fan base, so I'm sure that hopefully they'll be turning out for him on that Friday night. It should be a really good event. During the day on the Saturday, we've got our interactive story game, which last year we had the Skywatcher investigation, which went down really, really well with families, and children particularly, who just absolutely loved the whole sort of alien thing going on. This year it's Murder in the Crypt, and it's in the Bishop's Court house, which is the Bishop of Rochester's residence. And that's all day 10 till 4, and there are various sessions, so you need to book into one of the individual sessions onto that. But yeah, so there'll be sort of interactive gaming and things going on in there for people to enjoy. And then on Saturday night, we're at the Chatham Grammar School for Boys, who are very kindly hosting us there, our night at the theatre. And again, that's sort of 17%, which includes ME4 writer Sam Fentiman Hall, and Sarah Hahir and Maggie Drury, who are brilliant playwrights, and inspired by a Byron poem called The Dream. They're introducing 3 new plays called The Spirit of My Dream, and the proceeds, or some of the proceeds from ticket sales, will go to the PTA at Chatham Grammar as a thank you for us using their big hall there. So we're hoping that will get lots of support, and the PTA will benefit from that. They'll also be running refreshments. So that's Saturday the 4th from 7 o'clock. And then moving on to our final day on the Sunday, we've got the daytime event for families called Assassin, and that's author Joe Craig reading extracts from his Jimmy Coates series. And Jimmy is a kind of part boy, part weapon, and totally deadly. He's been manufactured by some covert government department, and he's has into being an assassin, and he decides to rebel against that. So it's all very exciting as he tries to make his escape, and his story is going to be interpreted by music from Jacob Bride and Jamie and Graham, who are part of Jacob's Associates, and an exciting young street dance group, CYC, Cyber Youth Connections in Medway. So they're going to put that whole thing together, and that's from 2 o'clock at Lordswood Sports and Social Club on Sunday the 5th of October. And we've got family tickets available for that. So under 5s go free, and then the children pay less than the adult price as well. So that's kind of very family-friendly event that we've got going on there. And then moving into the evening, we're staying at Lordswood Sports and Social Club for our finale, which is Byron's Teapot, and that's featuring some of our most amazing poetry and speakers. We've got the James Worth Public Address Method. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with him. Dylan Oscar Rowe is making a big name for himself. We've got J.P. Lovecraft with his Tales of Terror. And we're finishing off with music from Brides of Rain, who really capture that whole mix of different influences from all different sort of cultures and countries and things like that. That's going to be amazing to finish off with that. But we're very much looking forward to the whole thing. So that's going to be a nice kind of easygoing evening where with music and poetry and storytelling, and there'll be an open mic there as well. So if any people in the audience, any poets or speakers want to get up and have a go as well as we wind down the festival, they'd be more than welcome to. So we're very much looking forward to the whole thing. It's a strong programme, and so it ended up a lot bigger than I was anticipating this year. So it's been quite involved and a lot of work on behalf of a lot of people to bring it together. But we're finally there, and we're kicking off in about just over 2 weeks. So very much looking forward to it.
Well, it certainly sounds an amazing selection of events, and I know, Joe, this is something you are very passionate about.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, once I sort of started to do it, it was all done a lot more quickly last year. We sort of had to do it, we'd set the dates, but where we got caught, we were doing other events, and so we never quite got to put in the whole programme together until quite late last year. So we were very, very lucky that people like Jacob Bride and Sam Fenterman Hall, Bill Lewis, sort of came in and helped out, and Roy Smith as well, obviously with the Skywatcher thing. They really set the tone of those events. So we're hoping to capture that again this year with these sort of events. But yeah, there's a lot of people involved kind of behind the scenes, and they'll all be on the website with a nice big thank you when we sort of get underway, and at the end of it there'll be a nice big roundup hopefully. But yeah, it'd be lovely. The more people that come along, the more likely, the likelihood is we'll continue to do it again. That's the big worry, is we need to see it supported in order to keep it going for next year.
Well, I know it's important to you that it's all about bringing that community together.
Oh, definitely. If we can, I mean, a lot of the events, I mean, yes, we've had people contact us who've come along that are not local, but a lot of we always try to have events that involve like local writers and local poets and things like that. We have our garden party each year, which is very much locally based writers. To give them an audience and to build their confidence as well of getting up and speaking in public and doing events and live readings. It's a big step to take, and we've seen a few people now that have really blossomed, that have started out quite tentative, but now are kind of really, they're out there on the scene and they're in demand, which is great. Dylan, for example, he's got a gig up in London as well as the gigs that he's doing for us. So it's brilliant to see people coming out of their shell and getting out there and reading aloud.
And I assume being the second year, that is what's helping build on that.
Yeah, definitely. So it was quite a sort of a rush last year, but this year I've pretty much been organising it since November, since the last one ended, and it still feels like there's still so much to do, but then I think it's just that I've created more to do. So in terms of publicity, we've had leaflets out there since March, in some form or shape, which last year we just didn't have time to really do that. So hopefully there's a lot more people that are aware of it and will enjoy, seeing all these different types of events, because they are all quite different, and it's lovely to have authors along and hear them speak about their work. But equally the music is important, and the performance element, the plays. We want to be able to continue to give people something different that's kind of from creative. It's all based in creative writing, but it's kind of, all the events are, very different from each other.
Jay, would you just be able to refresh our listeners exactly the time period of the festival, and also let our listeners know how they can find out a little bit more, perhaps on the web, that kind of thing?
Of course, yeah. We've got, the festival is running from the 25th of September with the evening event with Sunny Ormond, running through to the 5th of October, at Lords of Sports and Social Club. All the details are at rochesterlitfest.com. So there's a blog post for each event, so you can get the full details of exactly what will be happening. There's a link there to get tickets from our Eventbrite page, and our social media icons are on there as well. We're at RochLitFest on Twitter, and you can find us on Facebook. My telephone number is 07904 643 770 for anyone who doesn't have easy access to the web. I know not everybody does. Any queries, you can email us on rochesterlitfest@gmail.com.
Well, Joe, I'd like to thank you very much for telling listeners all about this year's festival.
You're very welcome, Daniel. Thanks for giving me the opportunity.